Hello everyone, this is Dale Stratton and Dean Dorton. We're continuing with our core Excel tips and tricks for accounting and development video series. Today's topic is Excel keyboard shortcuts. While there are many keyboard shortcuts available for Excel, I want to cover the top 20 that I use on a continual basis in Excel that really help me with data entry and moving about the sheet without the mouse. I know a lot of users are dependent on the mouse, and that's fine. I use the mouse heavily, but sometimes during data entry, staying with the keyboard can speed things up. So let me go over a few of those with you now. All right, to start off with, I'm going to start with Control and Arrow keys. What I want to show you, if I were on any particular area of a spreadsheet, my arrow keys, of course, move me up, down, left, and right, whichever direction that I hit the arrow. If I use the Control key in conjunction with that arrow key, it jumps me to the next blank space. So Control down arrow jumps to the next blank space. Up, next blank space. Right and left. So that makes navigation through a large sheet much faster. So I can do a Control down arrow and notice that I jump to the end of information. If I do a Control down arrow and there is no information, it jumps to the very end of the spreadsheet. So Control up, 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 and up. And notice I'm jumping to blank spaces or the end of information. So Control up, down, left, and right. Next, if I use the Control arrow keys and add the Shift key to it, what that does is that selects information as I move. So Control Shift down arrow simply selects from where I am to the next blank space. Now I can keep going, Control Shift down arrow, and notice it just keeps selecting as it moves. Or Control Shift up arrow deselects. Now if I let go of the Shift key, now I'm just navigating again. So keep in mind, Control arrows to jump to blank spaces, or Control Shift to select as you move. So Control Shift right arrow. Next, Control A. Control A is a method to select an entire area. So for instance, I'm in the left-hand side here on B1. I do a Control A, it selects that entire region. Now if I had my cursor on B14, on that rect type there, Control A selects that entire region. That can help us selecting an entire region before you do sorts and things of that nature. Next, let's talk about the Home key. No matter where I am, the Home key always jumps me back to column A in that row. So no matter where the cursor is, column A in that row. Now, if I use Control and press Home, it jumps me back to A1 always. So no matter where the cursor is, Control Home always jumps me back to the top left. That gets me back to the first row of my spreadsheet. Now Control End jumps me to the end of my data set. So wherever the last information was is where I'm going to jump to. Depending on what sheet you're on and what you're looking at is where that goes. So for instance, Control End, I must have had information here at some point. Beginning, Control End jumps to here. So Control End, end of a data set. Now the Control Page up and down, that helps you move through the sheet tabs at the bottom. So to go from January, February, March, and Q1, notice I can do Control, Page down, Page down, Page down, or Page up moves me back to the left. Next, the Tab key. Now the Tab key is going to move my cursor to the right, one space at a time. Shift Tab will move me back to the left. Sometimes while typing, it's easier to use the Tab key and Shift Tab than it is to go get your arrow keys. Now, to use the Enter key in conjunction with the Tab key, if I use Tab, Tab, Enter, notice it jumped all the way back to the left because I had used consistent Tab keys before that Enter key. So let me explain. If I were to click here in H1 and I hit Enter, it simply moves me down. But if I hit Tab, 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 Enter, notice it resets the line. So while doing data entry, if you use Tab only, don't hit arrow keys, just Tab. When you hit Enter, it will wrap you back for more data entry. So starting at a particular point, That's what the tab and enter keys can do. Next, the F2 key is for data edit mode. So for instance, my cursor's here. If I hit F2 on the keyboard, that opens the cursor so that I can edit the data in that cell. Otherwise, I'd just be writing over top of the entire cell. Now, if I want to get out of that cell, I can hit the escape key. So I exit the data edit mode. So F2 brings up my flashing cursor there so I can edit. Even if I do make a change, the escape key exits that data edit mode. Now, if I wanted to keep my change, I would just hit enter. F4. F4 is to put the relative reference $ in a formula. So for instance, if I put a formula equal, let's just say cell E4, if I hit the F4 function key, notice I have my $. F4 again toggles to just the $ before the 4. F4 again, $ before the E. F4 again, no $. F4 again, both $ are back. So F4, relative reference $, it just cycles through them. And I hit escape to get out of that. Now next, standards. Cut, copy, and paste. This is familiar for a lot of programs, but it's something very important to know, just in case you don't. Control X is a cut. And notice on your keyboard, they're right there in the row. XCV, cut, copy, paste. So Control X, cut. See, I've got my ants there. Now if I go to the Control V, paste. A cut removes something and puts it somewhere else. So let's put it back. Control X, Control V. Next, copy. Control C. A copy, we'll put the ants running around that. Control V is a paste. Notice the copy leaves it in the original position and puts it somewhere else. Use escape to stop. So there's cut, copy, and paste. Next, Control B is for bold. I use that one often. There are many formatting keyboard shortcuts, but bold is the most often that I use while using data entry. So Control B turns bold or turns bold off. The Control apostrophe copies from the above cell. I'll show you what that does. Control apostrophe. Control semicolon puts in today's date. Now Control Z is simply a keyboard shortcut for undo. Sometimes that's faster than going and getting the mouse and finding the all-famous undo button. That's 20 keyboard shortcuts that I think can speed up your data entry and help you with your Excel work. Thanks very much and have a great day.